Thank you, Lily, for that amazing introduction. Super excited to be sharing with you guys here tonight. So I'll just get right into it. So my name, as obviously Lily just said, my name is John Prather, sponsored into this business by Elaine Shekinino out of Fredericksburg, Virginia. Upline Founders Emeralds, Devang and Arti Advaryu from Los Angeles, and the wonderful Founders Diamonds, Vashon Sonika Jain out of New Jersey. So super excited to be sharing with you guys here tonight. And want to keep this interactive, want to kind of similar to the business presentation, want to share a little bit, talk a little bit, and kind of go back and forth with some of you guys here tonight. So going to encourage participation with whoever wants to obviously speak and talk. So what I want to talk about here for the next about 30-45 minutes is something that's kind of been on my mind. I know Devang and Arti have talked about it a lot. Vashon Sonika and our huddles, they've talked about it a lot, is the, kind of your mindset, the power of the spoken word, the power of your belief, kind of unseen controls the scene, thoughts are things, the book Think and Grow Rich kind of originates. And I know Devang and Arti, as we were talking, they, obviously Kumar is obviously always talking about, the unseen controls the scene. And Ali and Maka actually just had an amazing audio that came out this Monday. So I hope you guys on BSM got to hear that, because I think that was revolutionary. I remember hearing it live and it was so amazing. I remember one of the in-person conferences, one of the last ones that I attended, Ali and Maka had, an unbelievable talk there that really kind of changed my mindset and kind of changed my life, honestly. So I know that talk that just came out this Monday was another one of those talks just like that. So I hope you guys took notes and learned about it, but I'm going to talk about some of the things that Ali talked about and kind of go off of Think and Grow Rich, that book. So if you guys haven't read it, would highly encourage you guys to get it, but we're going to jump right into it right now. So like I said, why don't I do this? Let me share my screen. And then, like I said, I'm going to encourage, participation. I think you should be able to unmute. Yeah, you can. So whenever I ask, obviously, whoever wants to talk, I might call out some of the new partners, for example, just because, obviously you're new, so I want to pick on you a little bit, but no. So let me jump into it. Let me share my screen and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you guys can see my screen. You guys see this? Okay, perfect. So let me widen this screen out a little bit. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so power of belief. So what I kind of want to talk about, I have my notes right here, is basically the thing that I've realized having been in business, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about tonight is going to be talking into the mirror back at myself, because these are a lot of the things that I want to continue to work on and continue to get better at. So I'm going to be very passionate because I'm talking to myself. So don't feel that I'm talking at one of you guys. I'm talking back at myself. So one of the things that I realized, especially reading the book Think and Grow Rich and just kind of diving into more of the personal development a lot more lately in these past couple of months, working from home and, being obviously in the pandemic, is that I've realized that there's two games that you're playing when it comes to this business. There's the physical game and there's the mental game. And one thing that I've realized for myself is that while, again, physical game is very finite, there's certain things that, obviously as new partners on the call, like Rashab and Priyanka and I think Josh, and let me get the name, I saw it in the chat because I didn't see your name on the Josh and Mercedes, as I saw you guys speaking, obviously what you want to work on as a very new partner in business is initially you want to learn the skill sets, which is the physical work. You want to learn, what is it do I have to do to actually build that generational wealth? Or what is it that I have to do to actually start to see some results in this business? Because obviously being brand new, you're obviously learning from the jump, and both of you guys have wonderful coaches that you're working with, so that's one of the things that you want to work on. But one thing that I would strongly encourage you, and hopefully I drive the point home here for the next about 30 to 45 minutes to you guys, as well as everyone on this call, I don't think any level of business really is exempt from the mental aspect of this business, is that the mental side of this business is just as, if not more important than the physical work, because if your mindset is not there, if you're if you're thinking negatively, the ability to get the results out of the physical work decrease dramatically. So you kind of want to learn, and again, this is something that you'll learn from your mentors, from your coaches. So if you have any questions, obviously from here tonight, definitely ask them and get back to them in anything that I say. But hopefully you guys kind of pick up some tips and some things that I've been learning and I can just share with you guys here tonight. So the first thing that I want to talk about is, okay, so power of belief. So the first thing is the physical work. So I only have one slide on the physical work. And the reason why is because the physical work of this business is as simple as the slide that you see here right now. And you can take a screenshot of it. You can write it down, do whatever you want with it. But the physical work of this business never changes. Very simple, very drawn out. Obviously, it's 9 core steps, honoring the partnership. Again, how exactly you're going to build the business, talk specifically with your upline as far as what you do. But the 9 steps that we do in this business don't change. The physical work is the same. All we focus on in this business is volume, networking, and personal development. And if you can get really good at those 3 aspects of business, you'll become very, very successful in this business. And obviously what I'm going to talk about for the next, 20 to 25 minutes is going to talk about how you can maximize this physical work by having your mental work down pat. But I'm going to go into a little bit of the physical work just for obviously the sake of you guys. And really, I feel like everybody under their first year in business is considered new. If you haven't been to 4 major functions, I still consider you as a new business partner. And honestly, if you launched during the pandemic, I would still call you new because you haven't experienced an in-person function, which is really, really great. So the 9 core steps, so let me break them down how they were explained to me by my mentors, on the call here tonight is, again, the first aspect of it is volume. So there's 2 parts of volume. There's personal use, and then there's customers or VCS. So obviously you want to move products through your business. The standard that we have is 150 PV for singles, 300 PV for couples. So obviously the 2 couples on that are new, the goal is to hit 300, but obviously everyone else, knows those standards. So again, how you get these customers, what you do, the strategies that you use, this is where you talk with your mentors and your coach, because you might have certain friends, family members, colleagues, that you want to approach in different ways. So this is where you get the strategic coaching from the person that you're working with, because they have a lot more experience and they can walk through the specific people that you have in mind a lot better than just kind of, randomly just kind of generalizing everybody. But again, you want to get good at using your own products, and obviously developing customers. If you can get good at that, the rest of the business really falls into place. The second aspect is obviously networking, which comes with the 4 basics, showing the plan, bringing people into the business. As you saw in the presentation, building your network. Again, our mindset is we'd rather have 100 people do 1% of the work than 1 person do 100% of the work. So we want to help you develop a network that can, spread the work out, and also obviously spread the wealth and obviously build a large team. That's our goal. Our goal is to build large numbers. Our goal is, I think Vishal Sonika mentioned it at the last PACE meeting, 1 new person everyone should have at the next PACE meeting, January, in the beginning of January. I think it's going to be a team meeting as well. So that's the goal that you want to have in mind. But again, there's certain steps to get there. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details of the 4 basics. This is, again, ask the person who's working with you. They can go into a lot more details. But again, how you build your business, again, it's the same with everything. You just have different strategies for different people. Is the first thing you do is you build a list, because obviously you need people. People are the raw materials of this business. And then what you do is you connect with them and you drop the message. You connect with them, you see if they're open-minded. And if they are, what you do is you start them through the process with your coach or with your mentor, or if you're doing it personally, if you're at the level where you're doing your own process appointments, then obviously you do those process appointments yourself. And then what you do is once you take them through the process, they launch into business. Obviously you want to get them started right. This is a very key part. Obviously, Rashab and Priyanka, Josh and Mercedes, you guys are at this stage right now where the people that launched you into business, I think Amit and Anjali, Rosemont and Frederic, their goal is to get you started right. Their goal is to help you get off to the right step, because again, if you get started on the wrong step, it's very hard to correct bad, habits. It's kind of like I remember in football, or a good example is basketball, because that's a little bit more universal. Like if you shoot the ball weird, or you kind of, they teach, have shoot with one hand, and have one hand on the side, so if you kind of have that habit of shooting it awkwardly or shooting with 2 hands, it's very hard to unlearn a bad habit. But if you're young and you start with a really good habit, it's very easy to build up and master that habit. So the reason why we want to get you started right, take you through the launch protocols, is because we want you guys to start off on the right foot as good as possible. And obviously it's just a continuous cycle. Obviously your goal next is going to be to build a list of names. If you haven't already, connect them to your coaches, start them through the process. And then eventually you want more people on this meeting, just like yourself. And again, so it's kind of a constant, again, that's what I really loved about this business, is that it's not complicated like engineering, like environmental management. It's pretty much, if I can just master these simple 9 steps, to bring people into the business and show them the right steps, I just have to get really good at that and just do it over and over and over again. And eventually I'm going to have the lifestyle of Vishal and Sonika, where they've been financially free for 20 years. So that's the goal, is to kind of get through this. And then again, to help as many people get through these 4 basics as quick as possible. So again, the mindset, the specific strategy, how you work with certain people, that's what your upline is there to teach you and to help you. But the basics, again, the basics never change. That's the idea. And then the rest of these 9 core steps is all personal development. Again, people call it, honoring the partnership, the core run. There's a lot of things that you can say, but it's basically broken down into reading books, listening to audios and videos from BWW, BSM Extreme, attending all associations, the technology, BSM subscription, being accountable to your coach, and then huddle, play, huddle. Again, I'm not going to go into all the specific details. They're pretty self-explanatory, but one thing I would encourage you to do, if you're new, like I said, relatively under a year in business, is Nanda has a really, really good talk. Nanda Shringari, Diamonds on Vishal and Sonika's team, have a really good talk calling Rate Yourself on the 9 core steps. So that's what I would encourage you to do, is to take a screenshot of this, get this from your upline, but rate yourself on all of these core steps. Obviously, if you're brand new, like those 2 couples, you're probably just getting started on most of them. But if you've been in business for any period more than like a couple of weeks, I would rate yourself on these core steps. Are you doing these core steps to the best of your ability? Because if you are, then you're on a good track. If you're not, figure out where you need to improve. I remember I was thinking today about a good example. It kind of just popped into my head of this business is it's kind of like, what was I thinking? It's kind of like somebody says, I think Ali said this, or somebody said this in an audio where it's like, a lot of people say, I love this business other than like working with people, people are difficult. And he related it to like, it's like a plumber saying, I love plumbing, but I hate watering pipes. I think it was Ray Malillo that said that. Or like, I love engineering, but I hate doing calculations. You know what I mean? It's like, there's certain aspects of this business you got to develop the skill set and become good at, whether you like them or don't. And I remember relating this to football, and I started to think, and obviously being a football player, whether you think of football, basketball, cricket, baseball, whatever sport suits you, what I started to think it's very similar to like with football. Like for me, like I played wide receiver, those guys that stand out towards the edge and catch the ball from the quarterback, they're on offense. So so I was thinking, I was like, it's funny because, if somebody says, I love catching the ball, I love celebrating in the end zone, I love, winning the championship and being recognized, but I just really hate getting hit. I really hate, wearing football pads. It's the exact same thing as saying, I love, using the products. I love, building my business, but, I just really don't like reading books. I really don't like listening to audios. And it's like, you can't become successful with that, because if let's say, for example, let's use basketball. I know there's a few partners on the call here who are basketball players like Tony, Maya is a basketball player. And I'm sure there's, everyone's probably played basketball. I know Ratty plays basketball. We haven't gotten a chance to play yet, so shout out, Seven Springs is coming up soon. So we'll be able to play. But, it's like thinking like basketball. It's like, I really love making baskets. I really love playing defense, but I'm terrified of, messing up in front of people. I'm terrified of shooting the basketball and airballing it. That's the same thing as saying, I love reading books and coming to meetings. I love networking, but, there's certain products I just don't like. You know what I mean? If that's your mindset in basketball or in football, what I've realized growing up, and you can apply this to any aspect of your life, is that if you really don't like one aspect of whatever it is that you're doing, typically what I've seen happen for those people who stay as amateurs in whatever they're doing is they focus so much on what they don't like. Like, for example, as a football player, I played with a lot of people, and some people just really hated getting hit. So what happens is every time they get an opportunity to touch the football and make a play, they're so scared of getting hit that they mess up. They don't catch the ball, or if they're so scared of messing up in front of people when they're playing basketball, every time they get the ball, they stumble over themselves, turn the ball over. And what happens is they end up giving up on the game because they can't overcome themselves. So that's what I would encourage you guys, again, whatever level in business that you're at, is you want to, no matter if you like it or not, master these 3 aspects of business. Because just like in football, just like in basketball, just like in anything that you do, it doesn't matter if you like it or don't like it, the price is the same for all. The price to get platinum done is 7,500 PV 6 months out of the year. It doesn't matter if you like to sell products, don't like to sell products. It doesn't matter if you like reading books, don't like reading books. Same thing for football. You get 6 points if you score a touchdown. For basketball, you get 2 points if you make 2 or 3 points if you make a basket. It doesn't matter what it is that you like or don't like about the game. The price is the same. So in my mindset, how I approached the game of football and became successful relative to, the average person that plays football is my mindset was, even though I don't like certain aspects of the game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to master the things that I like and try to improve little by little on the things that I don't like. I wasn't going to focus so intently on all the things that I didn't like, or all the things that I wasn't that good at. What my mindset was, okay, if I like the result that I can get from it, like in this business, if I like the financial flexibility, like some of you guys mentioned, if I want to build generational wealth, if I want to have a side hustle or multiple streams of income, this business can get me that end result. And that's my first thought. Now, what I have to do to get there are these 9 core steps. Some of them I'm going to like, some of them I might not like. But what I found out is that I can learn to like all of them. I'm going to start with the things I like to do, but I'm going to get coaching from my mentors who can teach me the things that I might not be that good at. So if you're on this call and you're struggling to get 150 PV first day ditto, then maybe that's something that you should reach out to your coach and get a budgeting session done. Maybe you should reach out to your coach and learn how to, sell some products or something like that. So the solution might be different, but again, the solution isn't, let me just accept that I'm not good at it and do 30 PV or 60 PV or whatever amount that you're currently doing. The goal is, how can I move forward? How can I get better? Maybe I can't do 150 right now. How can I get to 100, 110? Start there. So that's the mindset you want to have, is a growth mindset, looking to improve, not just a fixed mindset of, well, I can't do it, I don't like it, so I'm not going to do it. Because that's not going to lead to results in anything. Same thing with networking. Maybe you're at a point in your business where you've been in business for a few months, you haven't sponsored anybody, or you've sponsored a few people, it didn't go the way that you thought. The mindset is, and as I'll talk about in the rest of this presentation, if you're basing your future off what you've done in the past, your past is going to be your future. But if you can overcome the past and you can have that positive mindset, you'll realize that no matter what's happened in the past, that I can achieve whatever goals that I want, basically. And that's the mindset, is to achieve the goals that you want to achieve and not to fixate on the things that you're not good at. Learn the skills that you need to learn, because again, the price is the same. It's not like the price is going up or down. You just need to hit the goals and figure out how you can get there. And again, the same thing for personal development. So I hope that gave you guys, new people and even veterans, some perspective. But basically, rate yourself on these 9 core steps and get the physical part out of the way. You don't have to do anything unrealistic. You don't have to sponsor 30 people in a month. You don't have to do anything crazy. But what you do have to do is you have to get good at it and do it consistently over a long period of time. And working with your coach and mentor, they can give you some more tips and stuff like that. But if you can get good at the physical work, then all you have to do is focus on your mental work. Because if all you have to do, as I flip on to the next side of the topic that I want to talk about, being mental work, is once you realize that mental work is simply just you versus you. So you want to get the physical work good. You want to learn the skill set to make sure that you're solid on all of that, so that it can just be a, you versus you. Because if it's, if you have to focus on 15 different things to try to build your business, it's going to be very difficult. But if you can focus on just a couple of things that you want to improve on, reaching high levels in this business, you ask Vishal and Sonika, it's not easy, but it's simple. But if you overcomplicate it yourself by, giving excuses, being fixed-minded, then you fall into that trap of, constantly being, doing, but not seeing any results. So hopefully that made sense for you guys. Hopefully you took a screenshot of the 9 core steps, and now what I'm going to pivot to for the entire rest of the meeting is what I call is the mental work of the business. So I wrote this quote because this is something that, again, I've been thinking. All of the rest of this talk is me talking to myself. So again, just like I said, don't think that I'm talking at any one of you. I'm talking to myself. Is that the mental work of this business is believing that you're already in possession of your goals without the physical results. One thing that I've realized in this business is that you have to be able to, like I said, overcome yourself. typically, like I said, what most people do and what the average 99% of the world do outside is they base their future off their past. What are most conversations that are out there if you go to work or if you talk to people? A lot of it is, oh, what's in the news? What's this new, strand coming out? Who's getting elected? What's been happening? All of their focus a lot is on the past. Holidays are coming up. What's everyone going to be talking about? What happened this past year? But the difference between what we do in this business and what most people do in their life is we're very forward focused. We don't base our future off of our past. But what most people do is the reason why they stay where they're at for a long period of time is because they focus on what they've done and they don't focus on what they can do in the future. I remember Bill Britt, and I mean, many people have said this over the years, if you're Bill Britt was like, I think he got into this business at 38. He was like, I was 38 and broke. If I wanted to learn how to be 48 and broke in 10 years, what do I have to do is I just have to keep doing the same thing that I'm already doing. But if I want to be 48 and wealthy, which is what he was, what I had to do is I had to change the people I was listening to and change the, things that I was putting into my mind. So that's what we do in this business is we try to flood our mind with positivity, with, growth mindset, with books, audios. As I go back one step, the personal development aspect of this business is what we really thrive on to build our mental momentum, to build our mental stamina. Because if you don't have the mental stamina, you can do I've seen so many people. I've only been in business for a couple of years. I can't even imagine some of the platinums and emeralds and diamonds on this call. I've personally seen so many people do a lot of work in this business with a bad attitude and get very, very little results. And I've also seen people that have done maybe not as much work, but they had a really good attitude and they achieved tremendous results. So that's, again, you don't want to focus on what happened in the past. You want to focus on what you can do in the future. I don't think there's anything else I really wanted to touch on with that. Yeah, like I said, most people, this is the reason why most people fail to achieve the goals in their life is because they focus on their past. They don't focus on what they can do. So kind of how I was kind of thinking about it, how I kind of, a good way to explain this, because it makes sense, but it's very abstract. It's very difficult to, focus in on what exactly does that mean to think like you already have the results. And this is where I kind of want a little bit of participation is that when you look at this picture and you look at these words, everyone launches in this business with hope of a goal. I think I'll have some participation with Rashab and Priyanka. If you guys could unmute, I know you guys already mentioned, but what were the goals that, what were some of the goals that you had, that why you launched your business?
So the biggest one was, to have an additional source of income.
Okay.
Second was, to meet more people. And at the same time, that would, kind of give you an opportunity to improve on your soft skills, because both of us, we are not really, I would say, quite open in reaching out to people and talking to them, So that is something we both want to, kind of would like to overcome that kind of, that hurdle.
Perfect. And how about you, Priyanka? How about you? Why did you launch as well?
Yeah, I would say it's pretty much the same, to have an additional income and to grow up the network, make new friends.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think that's great that you guys are on the call together and are, building a future together, because that's one thing. Again, another thing I've seen is that, one person is more excited than the other. Again, sometimes it happens, but it's hard to pull somebody. But if you're both working together, you can achieve a lot more success a lot faster, which is great. And like you said, and that's fantastic. Another extra stream of income, creating relationships, building yourself up. I remember believe it or not, was very, very shy before I got into this business. If you talk to some people I knew before the business, I was not a talker. I was not very outgoing. But again, like I said, through the personal development, I learned a lot of the skill sets, so the same thing is going to be there for you. And also Josh and Mercedes, I don't know, I don't see you on the screen right now, but if you guys could unmute, if you're there, and share with us again, why you're building the business, why you launched into business, what were your goals individually?
Yes, well, originally, the reason why we launched the business is to begin to build up that wealth. But that starts with not just developing a network, but also having the right mindset, which you alluded to. Felt like the mindset was not too much of an entrepreneur, but more so of an employee. And, you know, I was looking to change that. So that was like my deepest desire. And then, you know, when Frederick reached out to me, you know, I heard out the opportunity, and, you know, they put us on to different books that, you know, it's opened my mind up to a different perspective of the world and what, you know, I've been doing for the past 3 to 5 years, you know, working for someone else. So, you know, told my wife about it. And, you know, my wife was, you know, really she's more on board, more enthused and passionate, you know, than me. But we're still together, you know, and we're still pursuing this together. The biggest thing I got out of this thus far is like the mental switch, like you said. It's all in about your mindset. So that's why we began to, you know, begin this journey. And I'm going to see this thing through all the way.
Absolutely. How about you, Mercedes?
Yeah, so just piggybacking off of what my husband said, you know, really just trying to build that generational wealth. You know, we want to break the poverty curses. I want to completely remove myself from the E quadrant and one day be in that B and I quadrant. And so I feel as though, you know, this is an opportunity to do it. So, you know, I'm just taking a heed to everything, you know, being like a sponge, soaking up all the information I possibly can, me and my husband, and just going full force.
Nice. Absolutely. And quick side note, it's funny that you mentioned, Josh, that Mercedes is super excited. And obviously, I mean, you're excited, like you said, but I've heard, again, I'm not married or anything like that, but I've heard in this business that if the woman, whatever the woman wants, she gets, you know, so if she's excited about this business, it's going to get done because you have to do it, you know? So, and again, like you said, wanting to be, you know, get out of the E and S quadrant, get into the B quadrant. I know, again, you know, I know you guys are working with Rosemont and Frederic and Sanjay and Bainu. I know Bainu has achieved that, you know, walking away from her job, as well as obviously Vishal and Sonika, as you guys know, and many, many other people on the call. So it's so doable and it's so there for you. And even like you guys said, you know, like you said, Josh, kind of flipping the switch. I hope that I share here tonight, you know, and I know it's being recorded, so you might be able to go back and watch it as well, that some of the things that I learned here too is that these apply not only just to this business, but really to anything in life. You know, so this was something that I realized that if I really internalize some of these principles that BWW teaches, I could not only, you know, be financially free, go into the B quadrant, but all the other aspects of my life could really be good. You know, like a strong home team is like a lot of what we talk about. You know, again, you guys building the business together, which is fantastic. You know, so strong home team, you know, positive values. You know, I don't know if either of you guys have started a family, but, you know, I remember hearing in audios, again, not having kids myself, but, you know, the principles I've heard Sonika and Vishal and Devang and Artu, who I personally work with, you know, Elaine is also young, so he doesn't have kids also, but that, you know, the principles that BWW is built on, you can instill those into your family as well as kids, people around you. So I hope that you see that. And I hope, again, that was one thing I think Kumar also talks about a lot is, you know, seeing beyond what's just right in front of you. You know, there's a lot more to this business than just the money that you see, the freedom that you see, you know, so those are great goals and you can definitely achieve them. But I think, like you said, Josh, you know, also kind of getting that mental switch, you know, because once you develop the mindset, I remember Vishal told me this once, once you develop the B quadrant mindset, you know, anything you touch can turn to gold, you know. Funny, that's your part of your last name. I know Goldstein, but you know, that's kind of the mindset where if you develop that mindset and apply it elsewhere, every aspect of your life becomes very, very, you know, profitable, exciting, and things like that. So thank you guys so much for sharing again. You know, I would have other people jump in, but obviously for the sake of time, I'm just gonna move on. But great. So obviously, just like you guys had mentioned, and just like a lot of you guys on this call, every one of you got into this business for some reason or another. You know, whether it's financial flexibility, learning new skills, different mindset, you know, so that's again, the one thing that I want to portray is, again, you as you see this, it's like you're in a cave and you see that ray of light. That's kind of what I would describe that as. Whatever that goal is for you is that ray of hope coming into your life. And this next slide, the reason why, and I want to give you kind of the flip side of it, because a lot of people only talk about the positive, but I also want to be very realistic with you guys about, you know, people do quit this business because they don't allow themselves to win. You know, so the reason why, again, I'm just talking from my experience, the reason why most people I've seen have faded away, paused the business, whatever it might be. Again, there's a lot of different reasons, but most of it is because they allowed the hope to fade away. They've allowed it to kind of, as you can see in this, it's a dark cave, it's scary. This is when things don't go your way, this is when most people give up. Like you said, like you guys said, Rashab and Priyanka, you want to, again, obviously financial flexibility, things like that. But like you said, also the, learning new skills, meeting new people. I remember for me, the first few people that I talked to in this business, the couple of family members that I spoke to, they weren't super positive. They kind of told me, nobody in our family has ever built a business before. People have gotten into this business and not been successful and things like, again, same thing like I was talking about in football. They gave me a little bit of negative, and what it did initially is they tried to, take away that hope, but what I realized is that the people outside, the people that I was asking, what they were doing is that they were just vocalizing their own fears or insecurities on me. They weren't telling me, what they were saying wasn't fact. What they were saying was what they believed of themselves. I can't do it. So what makes you think you can do it? Or you have these great goals, but like, you've been shy your whole life. What makes you think you're going to suddenly change into a new person? Again, they're thinking of the past and trying to, predict your future. But again, you don't have to allow that. I think the key word here is allow. People allow the hope to fade away, because as you'll see in the next slide, the hope is always there. But if you allow it to fade away, it's a personal choice, and same like you guys said, Josh and Mercedes, wanting to be, full-time business owners, or, again, I don't know your background. You kind of mentioned, breaking, the chains of poverty and stuff like that. There's a lot of people in this business that have done that, and I'm not going to say guarantee, but I bet you, this happened to me. This has happened to a lot of people in this business that, if you share, and I'm going to have a little quote by Steve Harvey come up and he talks about it, but I've heard him say this quote before that, the best way to kill a big dream is to tell it to a small-minded individual. And one thing that I realized with a lot of my family members, again, not everybody and not speaking down to them, but a lot of them had trained themselves to become very small-minded. So when I, ignorantly excited about this opportunity, shared my goals with them, they were viewing it from their perspective of a very small-minded individual. Again, nothing wrong with them, but they just had that mindset that, I've like my parents, for example, they're in their 50s, 50s going on 60s now. So it's like, we've been on this earth, twice or three times as long as you, and you're going to tell us that, there's another way to do it. Same thing for you. I'm sure you're going to talk to people. You might, it's happened to a lot of people, but what most people do, the average person, they allow their hope to fade away. I remember, again, another thing that I've heard in an audio is people always ask, what does the average person do in this business? Well, there's two things that I've heard, as a way to respond to that. The first thing is, do you plan to be average? Because if you do, you're going to get very average results in anything that you do. So first thing is, don't plan to be average. And then the second thing is that what the average person does in this business is they quit or they don't make a lot of money. Why? Because, what this business, as anything in life is you have to become above average. You have to separate yourself. Just like anything, if you're an average employee, you're not going to make millions and millions of dollars. If you're an average, football player or basketball player, you're not going to make it to the NBA, or the NFL or anything in life, But the thing is that nobody is average. You just choose to be average, so that's the one thing that I realized, I don't know if there's anything else that I had, and another thing that kind of came to my mind when I was writing these down is, again, you allow the hope to fade away. And the reason why, again, if you, again, being realistic, why people would quit, again, think about it realistically. If you don't have any hope of achieving your goals, why would you continue to do anything? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have hope, like, let's say, for example, you want to get fit, perfect example, New Year's resolutions are coming up. I'm sure a lot of people are going to set goals of getting 6-packs and things like that. Again, a lot of people, for different reasons, they don't follow through. But again, if you lose the hope, let's say you work out a few weeks, you don't get the results you're looking for. If you think to yourself, no matter what I do, I'm never going to be fit, why would you go back to the gym? Why would you put yourself through all that torture if you don't even believe you're going to get there? It's just like, it doesn't make any sense. And it's what most people do in this business. If they get a few negatives and they look at their past to dictate their future. If you think, let's say in the next couple of months, I remember hearing this in an audio, whatever your quit point is for this business, you're going to hit it at some point in your first year. And what most people do is they give in. But if you already know it's coming and you've made that decision, I'm not going to quit, then what you can do is now you've given yourself the authority to overcome it. But if you never make that decision, you'll quit. And what most people do is they get to that quit point and they lose all hope. And they're like, you know what? I wanted to be financially free, but, you know, nobody in my family's ever been free. You know, I saw this other, you know, opportunity on Instagram. It seems like they can make money faster. Why don't I jump over to this and see if I can do that? Why don't I try to do this, try to do that? And what happens is they slowly, the hope fades away, and eventually they become somebody like a lot of my family members, you know, nothing wrong with them, but they don't even hope to, you know, do better. They're just kind of living paycheck to paycheck, day by day. You know, they're having fun, but, you know, they're living within their means. They're allowing circumstances to dictate their life. And that's what I hope, like I said, kind of like I was talking to you, Josh, this business, these principles, if you apply them to this business, can make you very, very successful and wealthy. These principles applied to your life can multiply that wealth and success 1,000,000 times. You know, if you apply these same principles, is don't allow other people, don't allow the past to dictate your future. Don't allow that hope to fade away. Because as I realized in reading some of these books, as this next slide says, is that, you know, their perception of hope fading isn't reality. You believing that you can't build this business, you believing that you can't get fit isn't true. It's just your perception. Like, you know, like, for example, like if you look at these last two slides, you know, this is the inside of the cave, but if you get to the end of the cave, this vision, this picture is always there. It's not like this cave is just like magically, like, you know, if you think it's not there, it's not there. If you think it's there, it is there. This opening to the cave, this opening to your journey is always there. But if you don't believe that it's there, what's going to happen is you're just going to turn around and go live in the cave for the rest of your life. But what we try to teach people to do in this business is, hey, you know, you can get out of the cave, you know, you can get out of your circumstances, but you just have to keep going. You know, you can't give up because, you know, even though you might perceive that you're failing, even though you might, the past 10 people you spoke to didn't launch into your business, you know, nobody's, you know, you've tried to sell some products and people aren't supporting you. Even though those people aren't supporting you, that does not mean that the next person won't support you. And that's the one thing for me, again, talking to myself in the mirror, that I had to really realize in this business that no matter what's happened in the past, it has no bearing on the future. I remember hearing some audios is that, like, you know, you don't want to allow, like, the person who you just spoke to could have told you that this business is, you know, not legit, you're never going to be successful, you know, laugh at you in your face, you know, and the next person that you talk to could be the next diamond, platinum, emerald that joins your business, and they have no idea what just happened to you. But if you allow that last person to affect the person you're talking to, they're going to feel it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine, like, I'm sure I remember hearing this as well. Like, imagine, like, if you guys as a couple, hopefully, you know, I'm not wishing this on you, but, you know, imagine if you guys like got into a big argument just before a bunch of family members came over, you know, or like, you know, holidays, you know, and your family, even though they weren't there when the argument happened, they can feel it in the air. You know what I mean? Like, if you guys were arguing, like, they kind of see, like, oh, Josh and Mercedes are not talking to each other like they used to, or, you know, they're kind of, one's in this room, one's watching, you know what I mean? Or, you know, whatever, or something like that. Or you've probably been in that situation where you can feel the tension in the air. It's the exact same way when you sit down with somebody about products, about this business, about anything in your life. If they feel that you don't have any belief or any hope, why would they join? You know, if I were to ask you, I won't, again, for the sake of time, but, you know, how did Rosemont and Frederic, you know, how did Amit and Anjali interact with you guys when you first sat down? Is you probably saw in them, okay, I have goals and they can help me get there. If you didn't believe that they could help you, why would you even pursue it? So again, you want to use, again, common sense is to think of that when you start talking to people. If people look at you and they don't believe, you know, again, some of it might be their own, you know, negative thinking. But if somebody who's open-minded and talking and wants to meet with you, you know, if they believe, oh, you know, these people are, you know, they just don't seem super happy, or it seems like they're in a, you know, bad place, why would they join your business? Why would they buy any products from you if they don't see that hope? You know, so that's the one thing that I realized, that I had to really make sure that no matter how much other people were trying to block my vision, I had to always keep that vision in front of me. You know, I had to always believe that no matter if you believe it or not, the version of Mercedes that isn't working a job is there. You know, if you choose not to pursue that, that's a choice that you've made. You know, just like Rashab and Priyanka, the version of you guys that can talk to anybody, you know, that can, Sonika, I would encourage you guys, if you haven't already, I'm sure you have, but talk with Sonika, because I know she's also gone through that journey and she's super outgoing and super friendly. That's why they have a major organization right now. But the version of you that's talkative, outgoing, friends with everybody is there. a perfect example, like I said, is Sonica. When she first got into the business, listened to their audio, super shy, super reserved. But now any in-person meeting you see her at, has 20 other women following her around, talking with her. She has good relationships. So again, the version of you is there. It's just, if you choose not to follow that, if you choose to say, I'm not going to pursue that version of me, it's a choice now. So now that you understand, and Josh, like you said, different mindset, the version of you that has a B quadrant mindset, because you're in the process of learning it, is there. You know what I mean? Whether or not other people believe it has no bearing on you. It's just a matter of what I realized is I had to realize that no matter what, I had to just keep pursuing it. Because as you start to read some of these books, like I said, I'll get the book Think and Grow Rich, highly, highly would recommend. Again, if you're new in business, this might not be the first book that's recommended, but at some point I would get my hands on this book because it'll change your life. He talks about in this book that no matter what people say, no matter what happens in your life, if you pursue a definite goal, if you, focus on your dreams and you don't allow people to talk you out of it, you will eventually get to your goals as long as you're doing the right habits and the right things. Like we talked about, as long as you do the physical work, if you keep that mental vision of yourself always believing, you will achieve your goals, you will hit your goals, and you'll go way beyond that. As you could talk to a lot of the platinums, emeralds, and above on this team who've been in this business for a good period of time, I can bet you that the goals that they got into this business with, they've hit them and exceeded them, and they've set new goals, of being financially free, of being, better at people skills and stuff. So this, if I can input this into myself, into all of you guys, new, old, veterans, non-veterans, if you can understand that the version of you, the goals that you have is already there, you just have to go after it, you won't quit anything else for the rest of your life, because you'll realize that it's just simply a matter of doing the work. It's just simply a matter of saying, upline, these are my goals as of right now, because they're going to change. Obviously, if you, for example, Mercedes, get financially free, you're not just going to say, okay, now I'm done with life. You know what I mean? You're going to have something else that you're going to shoot for, so once you hit that goal, but for now you say, okay, Rosemine and Frederic, Sanjay and Benu, or how do I get to this specific goal? And they're going to walk you through, here's the steps that you take. And this version is always there, no matter if people join your business, don't join your business, buy your products, don't buy your products, believe in you, don't believe in you. It really doesn't matter. And that's what I had to realize in this business, that as long as I believed it, there was always a potential of me getting there. But once I lose the hope, everything's done. The game's over. It doesn't matter. I could join any other business, any other opportunity. These principles are the same. Anything that you do in life, if you lose the hope, you're never going to pursue or achieve it. And another thing that I can kind of, as I go into some of these examples. So this is, again, another book I got right out of Think and Grow Rich. Again, for those of you that have the book, the page number is 3 and 4. And I feel like a lot of people have heard this story of 3 feet from gold, but I just want to put it in perspective of this opportunity. And for those of you that don't, I'll kind of explain it to you as that, again, in this book, it's a simple 2-3 paragraphs where he explains the story where basically, back in, I don't remember when it was, few decades back, whenever the gold rush was, maybe it was like 100 years ago, or maybe sooner than that. Basically, this guy, I think his name was Darby. He traveled all the way from Maryland, where I live, all the way to the West Coast where the gold rush was. I don't know exactly where, but basically this guy was in search of like prominence, success. If he finds gold, he becomes rich, basically. So he bought some materials, bought some, a pickaxe, a shovel, and basically he just started digging up holes, finding places to go. And eventually, after a certain period of time, he found some gold. But his materials that he had, like this pickaxe, this, his shovel, he couldn't mine the gold. He couldn't bring it with him, bring it back. He needed some more machinery. So what he did is he traveled, he covered everything up, retracked his steps, and he traveled all the way back to the East Coast to raise some money to buy this machinery, gold mining equipment, whatever it was. And he talked to a few of his family members, told them, hey, I found gold. All we need to do is raise money to find the equipment, and we're rich, basically. And he got a few family members to help him out, raise some money, and they traveled all the way back, bought some equipment in, wherever the gold was. And they went on and they started digging up the gold, and they found some gold. They found, I think, enough gold, it said in the book, to recoup the money that they spent on the machinery. But after a couple of days, it ran dry. Like they couldn't find any more gold. They only found a little bit when they were hoping to find mines and mines of gold. And they dig, I don't remember how long, but probably for like a week or two, or however long, whatever a long period of time is, digging for gold. And they couldn't find anything. They were digging literally everywhere. They tried to dig a massive hole, but they just could not find where the rest of the gold was. And eventually, again, they lost hope, they lost hope, they lost hope. They did a whole bunch of work. And eventually they said, you know what, there's no more gold. You know, we found a little bit, but we didn't find what we were looking for. You know, let's cut our losses, save our time, sell the machines back and go back to Maryland, you know, and which is what they did. So they sold the machines back to the guy that sold it to them somewhere in Oregon or something like that. But what the guy did that was in Oregon is he asked them, he said, why are you selling me the machines? I thought you found gold, blah, 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 blah. Like, oh yeah, you know, we found some, but you know, there wasn't a large amount, you know, and we just want to cut our losses and go home. You know, we made our money back, you know, it was a good experience and we're going to go home. So they left this guy, Darby. But then whoever he sold the equipment to, I don't know the guy's name, but what he did is he went to an engineer and he looked up an engineer who knew about gold mining and kind of the physics, the math behind it, and had him go out to the site because he told the guys, they were at this point said, there's no more gold, so screw it. So they told him, this is where it is. This is where we were mining. We couldn't find any more. You know, so this guy who they sold the equipment to went there with the engineer and said, can you do some calculations and see if there truly isn't any more gold? And basically, long story short, this guy did calculations. And what he found, the engineer said that if they had just dug 3 feet to the right, they would have found the rest of the entire gold mine, which was, I guess, millions and millions of dollars worth of gold. And what happened is this guy who got the equipment from them, dug exactly where the engineer taught them to dig, found this gold and became very, very successful. You know, and this was kind of the story that he talks about, and you've probably seen this on Instagram, is 3 feet from gold. That's the story. It's a true story that happened where this guy lost out on all the money in the world because he just was 3 feet away, but he didn't continue to pursue it. You know, so obviously, again, some obvious morals to that story is to never give up. You know, you never know how close you are. But one thing that really stuck out to me, that really got me thinking, was the guy that ended up finding the gold, he sought out some expert advice on where the gold was. And that's what I feel like a lot of people in this business and anything that they do that they quit, they don't do, is they rely on the opinions of, like, if you think about them, imagine all the negative that was going through their head. We've been out here for 2 weeks. We found, you know, 2 pounds worth of gold. We're wasting all of our time. Negative, 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 negative. You know, the past that we've done, give up. Let's go back home. Let's just be farmers and let's just live a comfortable life. But what the guy did that they sold the machine to said, you know what? You did all that work. You found some gold. There has to be more out there. That's not how gold works. Gold just doesn't show up one little piece and then there's nothing else. It has to be there, but I'm going to go seek an expert. I want this guy to tell me, is there truly no gold, or, you know, where should I be digging? And that's what you should do in this business. If you ever get discouraged, if you ever start to lose hope, which you will, as everyone does, don't seek out the advice of the average person as to what you should do. Seek out the advice of an expert, you know, because like he said, if you find an expert, you could be one more connection away from finding your platinum. You could be 2 more people away from finding the next customer that you have, or you could be X amount of people away from hitting your next breakthrough. But what most average people are going to tell you is, cut your losses. You know, you've given it a good, you've been in business for a year or 2, you made a little bit of money, it was fun, but come on, you know, get realistic, you know, let's go pursue our jobs. You know, you haven't made any money, your business fell back, whatever it might be. They're going to tell you what they think you should do. But that's what I would encourage you to do is, again, not only don't give up, but seek an expert's opinion. You know, I've done this amount of work. Why haven't I gotten the results I'm thinking? And oftentimes it's simply because of a couple of things with your mindset, a couple of little things in your attitude that if you just tweak them a little bit, people would be attracted to you versus not be attracted to you. You know, those are the little things that the average people that don't become successful quit on, but the people who become massively successful, you can ask, like I said, any platinum and above on this call or anywhere, you know, there was a point in their business where they probably felt like they should have quit, you know, or the results that they are getting is nothing near where they put the effort in, but they didn't. And there was a reason why. And that reason why is why they ended up reaching the levels of success they did, why they're full-time in business or very, very successful. And whether you're new on this business, a veteran, whatever it might be, I think that's a true testament that we should all think of when it comes to what we should do with our opportunity, what we should do with our business in the future. Is you want to find why you should do it and don't give up too soon. Don't lose out on your hope just because you got a couple of negatives. You know, you want to put it in perspective, basically. You know, so the next thing I want to do is a quick little, I think this is probably a 4 or 5 minute audio, a great audio that I heard from Steve Harvey. He talks about this quote that I feel like aligns really well with the topic that I'm talking about and is a good way to kind of close out the last couple of slides here is this quote, this scripture that he talks about is, you have not because you ask not. You know, and I think this kind of goes into a good bit. So I'm going to play this for you guys. It's about 3-4 minutes long. And then I'm going to come and wrap up with a few tips and stuff like that. But here I go.
The smallest scripture I ever read changed my life. The scripture is real simple. You have not because you ask not. Do you know the difference that that could make in your life? I'm just giving you real talk now. I'm just trying to tell you how I got here. See, I have no education. I applaud all of you with your education. I've seen them talking to so many men who have in corporate America and all that. I'm in awe of that because I don't have that. But you sit here and you take what you have, and it could be so much more if you would ask. See, you have not because you ask not. When the last time you really asked him for something? Or do you keep making requests that's inside the confines of your paycheck? When you gonna get outside of that? Didn't I just tell you God ain't in your paycheck? Didn't I just tell you he ain't in your job title? The life God got for you is in your imagination. Why you still imagining stuff? Why you keep dreaming of a summer home? Why you keep dreaming of retirement, leaving your grandkids money? So I'm at the age now where I think about my grandkids. I got 7 TV shows. Dog, I only need one. One show pay me enough money. I need 4 for my wife. 4 of them is for Marjorie. The other 3 is for the grandkids. I just need one. I do not live my life in the confines of what anybody says to me. I let my imagination go, and now imagination is a preview to life's coming attraction. But what that really means is God showing you a preview of what he has for you. So now, if you have not because you ask not, do you understand if you up your ask, he has to up his give? This period. This is simple stuff that anybody can apply. You ain't even got to have no degree to do this. You don't even have to have no money to do this. You can start this today and change your whole game because you're going to need grace and favor anyway. You need the dream, the faith, and then he put his grace and favor on top of it. You gone. But you got to ask for something. If you up your ask, he got to up his give, period. You have not because you ask not. Quit asking God for little bitty stuff. Lord Jesus, help me make my rent. Don't he always? All y'all got somewhere to stay. How about this? Why you keep asking for rent? Why don't you ask for a mortgage? If he gonna give you the money for a place to stay, what difference do it make to God? But if you keep saying rent, ain't he fair? He keep giving you rent. If you ask for a mortgage, he'll give you a mortgage. But you have not because you ask not. Lord Jesus, help me fix my car so I can make it to work. Why do you keep praying over that raggedy car? Why don't you ask God for a car that don't need fixing? You know, they roll them off the assembly line every day. How you can't get a new car? How you serve God? How you go to church and you can't get a car? Just a new car. How you can't get that from God? You know why? Because you ain't asking him. You keep asking him for stuff that fit in your paycheck. Your paycheck say a 2015 Lexus, so you go down there and ask him for that. And guess what you get? A 2015 Lexus. You up your ask, he up his give. You have not because you ask not. This ain't a magic trick, man. Listen, I have asked God for some tremendous stuff. Everything he hasn't given to me is on the way. I have no doubt about it. Why would he not?
Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah. So again, I think some things that obviously, and it's funny, I actually heard from Anthony Melillo that Steve Harvey was actually in Amway before he became very, very successful. And he's actually very positive on the business. But that's another topic. But basically, like what he talks about is, again, I think that aligns a lot with this business. A very good moral to that when it comes to this business is a lot of people, again, I'm a victim of it too, as most people, it's like, oh, you know, I haven't sponsored anybody in X amount of months or whatever it might be. Can I just sponsor one person? And something that I've been thinking recently, again, whether you believe in God or whatever you believe in, is my thought is that God or whoever you believe in, at the snap of the finger, he can give you one person, 10 people, 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. Like he says, it's what you ask for. If you only ask for one candidate to the board plan, he's going to give you that candidate might not even launch. You know, if you only ask for one customer to buy one product, they're going to give you they're going to buy toothpaste. It's going to give you 2 PV. Why don't you ask for more? You know, why don't you think bigger, you know, dream bigger? I think some of the books that I'm going to recommend in these next few slides, it gets you to think outside of your comfort zone. It gets you to think a little bit bigger. You know, you don't want to, again, while you also want to have that vision that your goals and dreams can be achieved, you don't want to limit yourself to your small thinking to just think those are the only goals that I can possibly achieve. You know, can I please just get one more person to get into my business, or can just one person say yes to looking for more? Because he's just going to give you that. You know, there's no difference between launching one person in the next 3 months and launching 6 people in the next 3 months in terms of, you know, God or whoever you believe in. So you want to start to think bigger. You know, I remember Devang and RT made this statement at Pace this past week was frame your future. You know, frame it. You know, what do you want? You know, don't think about, oh, you know, based on what I've gotten these past few months, this is all, you know, I just want to get 150 PV on the first day of the month. You know, why don't you ask for 7,500 PV on the first day of the month? You know, why don't you ask to have diamond done on the first day of the month? You know, it doesn't matter what size, you know, the size doesn't matter to, you know, infinite intelligence, God, whoever you believe in. It doesn't matter. Whatever you ask for, he can give. Just like Steve Harvey said, you can ask for, you know, to fix your car, you can ask for a new car. You know, you can ask for one launch, or you can ask to go eagle in the next 90 days. You can ask to, you know, have one more person at the next PACE meeting, or you can ask to have 6 people at the next PACE meeting. It's all a matter of what you think. Again, if you think small, you're going to ask for small things, and you're only going to get small things. You know, so if you start to stretch your vision and stretch your mindset, you're going to realize that even though it might take a little bit more work, you might not get the work, you might not get the results just because you ask tomorrow, but you will eventually get that, you know, and you're only going to attract to you what you want. You know, Vishal and Sonika didn't just luck up and say, you know, can we please possibly launch one person? And they sponsored 6 platinum legs. You know, they were thinking about going diamond and beyond, which is why they attracted those people to them. You know, so you have to, again, maybe that's not your goal. Maybe launching one person, like for you guys that are new, obviously you haven't launched anybody yet. Maybe that is your first goal, but you want to think a little bit bigger. Don't limit yourself like, oh, you know, because I'm shy, maybe I should only, you know, maybe one person wants to be in business. Don't think like that. Think in abundance, think big, just like Steve Harvey said, and push yourself to think bigger and bigger. And a lot of the books and audios that you get are going to stretch you and push you, which is why I would encourage you to, again, dive into the personal development, you know, so.
The smallest scripture.
Next slide. So to wrap it up before, I have a couple of tips for you guys as we end this. But one thing that I would definitely encourage the #1 goal to be for everybody, you know, is make sure that the vision of hope never dims and it always gets stronger. Because again, no matter what level you're at in business, no matter how much success you might think you have or think you don't have, if the hope fades away, you know, I remember hearing Ali talk about this again, you know, many other leaders can probably talk a lot more about this, but there's people that have built massive businesses that have ended up, you know, falling away. Why? Because their mindset and their mentality didn't sustain the level that they were at. You know, you want to build something solid that's going to last you a very long time. So you have to think that way, even if you're 100. I remember when I got into business, I came to every meeting. I had video on, but I was in person. But I always had that sense of, you know, this meeting is, you know, it matters that I'm here. You know, if I started to lose that hope, like, you know, if I show up or don't show up, video on, video off, you know, they're still going to do the meeting. It takes away all of the power that I have. I lose all the ownership. It's like, oh, you know, why go? You know, but in my head, if I don't go, my business doesn't go. You know, so again, stuff like that. Like you want to start to think, have that vision of hope that, you know, imagine if you had 6 new people at this meeting, would you be here? Would you be attentive? Would you be engaged? You would. So you want to act like that now. You don't want to act like that when it happens, because it won't ever happen if you have that mindset. You know, I remember hearing this from Marshall Johnson, you know, it's not only how big can you dream, but it's how long can you dream big. You know, you might have really big goals. A lot of people, like you said, have really big goals, but they have it for a day, a week, a month, a year, and then they're gone. They end up losing that hope. So you want to have really, really big goals, but you also want to have that understanding. It's common sense. I want to have longevity. I want to build something that lasts long, because that's the only way anything big can be accomplished, is if you can maintain that hope over a period of time. And these platinums, these emeralds, these diamonds on the call here today have gone through ups, downs, good, bad, so those are the people that you really want to ask these questions to, whether you're in that period of your business or not, is you never want to lose. And some of the things I'm going to suggest in these last 2-3 slides is going to be to always stay tight with your upline, because they've always been through what you're going through, or they know somebody that's going through what you're going through, so they can help you get through it. But if you pull away from them and try to fix everything on your own, again, the hope is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And eventually you're going to believe, I can't overcome this problem, so I might as well not build this business. But if you surround yourself with the right people, they're going to push you to do more. So to wrap up, I just wanted to share it now that, I hope I made some sense as to why you want a strong vision, you want hope in your life. What are some easy, simple ways as we wrap up to strengthen your vision, to maintain it, to keep it going, for somebody who's brand new or somebody who's been in the business a little while. So these are the 4 things that I came up with. Again, books and audios can obviously give you some more tips, as you'll see in the last slide. But 3 powers is a good one to start with. You want to reprogram your brain and your mindset. You want to have a vision board, and you want to have, obviously some tools and education that can help you get there. So 3 powers, for those of you guys who are brand new, for veterans, you obviously know the 3 powers, power of unity, power of submission, power of the spoken word. So the reason why the power of unity is just like what I said, is that if you're disunified with your mentor, ask yourself this question. Again, not if you're brand new in business, but if you've been in business for a while, when's the last time you've reached out to your upline by yourself? When's the last time that you reached out to them personally without them having to reach out to you? When's the last time you've, shared some excitement in your group chat? When's the last time you've shared some excitement in a BMP? Whatever it might be. Why? Because if you're unified with your bigger team, with the uplines and everything like that, you're going to be able to, somewhere in your upline's business, there's growth happening. So if there's not growth happening with you, you can tag along to the growth happening in their bigger team to hopefully bring that growth into your business. Have a bigger purpose that's bigger than you. Again, just like I said, as far as these Zoom meetings, these webinars, these calls, make these a priority, because again, eventually the goal is for you to have a big team like this. And if everyone on the team, if you're in a situation where you're, showing up here and there, video on, video off, not very professional or very engaged, think of it. If you have 62 people, 100 people on your team that are on a call that are all acting like that, what's the likelihood of that being a strong, sustainable business? Again, you want to think as if you already have your goals achieved and act like that. Because if you do that, you'll eventually attract those goals to you. Second one is the power of submission. Again, very similar, but you want to accept mentorship 100%. No hidden agendas, completely transparent. Again, they want to help you get to where you want to go. So you have to be open to them and be willing to accept that mentorship. Power of the spoken word. This kind of goes into the next slide, which is reprogramming your brain. But Bill Britt would always say this: speak what you want that you don't have. Do not speak what you do have that you do not want. Even if there's situations in your life, if you're feeling sick, I'm getting better. I'm not sick. I'm getting better. Even if have a money challenge, I'm coming out of the challenge. I was struggling before, but now I'm better. Even if you are at a low point in your business, my business is on the grow. The past was the past. Things happened in the past, but moving forward, this is where my future is. You want to speak it. If you give life to the negative aspect of your life, that's what's going to grow. If you give life to the positive, that's what's going to grow. And that kind of goes into reprogramming your brain. I don't have to go into too much details, but again, highly would recommend Think and Grow Rich. This book talks a lot about positive affirmations. Ask your upline too if you have questions, but I would recommend everyone is, if you don't, is to write down some affirmations, think of some specific goals. And again, if you're new, if you don't know what goals you should have, reach out to your upline, ask them, what goals should I be writing down? What's a good goal for me? Because again, some goals are more, you want it to be out of reach, but within sight. You know what I mean? So you got to set kind of mile markers. So again, ask your coach, but write down some specific, definite goals and write them down, speak them multiple times per day. This book says, I can't remember the page, but he said in the book, he said, you want to speak your affirmations when you wake up and before you go to bed, so at minimum twice, but I would recommend just doing it every time you can think. Visualizations is you want to visualize your future, kind of like he talks about. Again, you can go into more details in some different books, you know, delaying your gratification, but they'll kind of go into more details. I don't have to go into all that. The second to last slide talks about creating a vision board. So again, you want to keep your visions in front of you. You know, again, there's only so much that you're going to remember. Oh, I should say my affirmations. There's inevitably going to be times where you can't think of your goals, or where they just, you know, you're going to fall back into bad habits. We've lived this way for many, many years. So you're naturally going to fall back into your habits. So what you want to do is you want to create a cheat code. You want to create a mental reminder that's very visible right in front of you of, this business is important to me. My goals are important to me. Because if they're hidden, if they're just in a little notebook that's in your desk, you know, you're only going to remember them on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock, you know, when you're on a meeting. But the rest of the week, you're going to forget about them. So this is just some examples of what I've done for myself. So you can kind of, again, ask your upline how to create a vision board. You can have one location. For me, I found it, you know, when I was living with my parents, I could only put them in certain spots because it wasn't my house to just put everything up. But now that I have my own place, what I've done is some people are into artwork. I know Gao, he's a painter, and some other people are really into artwork. So this is my living room right here, a big eagle picture. You know, it doesn't let me ever forget, you know, eagle, break eagles. That's my mindset all the time. You know, this is actually my screen right here, right in front of me as I'm looking at you. This is what's behind my screen. You know, so every time I'm on a Zoom call, you know, if there's ever a break or if I'm ever relaxing, you know, other than tonight when I'm speaking, you know, if I'm ever just like looking up, you know, I can look at all my goals, you know, that are on the wall right behind me. You know, so again, it reminds me, why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, and then I also have these little, you know, pockets of pictures. There's probably like 3 or 4 throughout my whole apartment, you know, of like goals that I'm shooting for, things that I want to achieve, you know, and these can be different. There's a few other ones that I have, but I didn't put all of them. But, you know, create a vision board, put it in front of you, put it somewhere that you're going to see it. Maybe it's on your refrigerator, you know, maybe it's in your bedroom, you know, maybe it's all throughout your house because you want to constantly be reminded. But here's just some examples of what I've done. Because again, you just want to, you know, you don't want to leave it all up to your willpower to remember your goals. You want to kind of program yourself. You want to put yourself in a position to say, you know, even when I forget, you know, like for me, I can't forget, you know, I mean, everywhere I turn, there's some goal or dream looking back at me. So you should do that. Maybe you guys, you know, some of you people that are new in business, or even if you're old, you know, or a veteran in this business, you know, maybe you take 15 minutes tonight after the call, you know, write down a couple of your goals and just go tape it up all throughout your house or put it somewhere. You know, maybe that works for you. Again, you got to figure out what works for you. And then the last slide, I would just encourage you guys to screenshot this. I'm not going to go into every little detail, but these are just some tools and some books that will kind of explain more. You know, there's only so much that I could obviously convey to you guys here tonight. I hope it added some value, but I can guarantee you some of these books, you know, will obviously add even more value. I think I have all these books, but I can't. Oh, here it is. Nope, never mind. I don't know where they are right now. They're all throughout the house, but here's a couple of books, you know, Magic of Thinking Big, Think and Grow Rich, you know, highly, highly would recommend, you know, read the book of the month, but I would encourage you to read 2 books, you know, the book of the month and then this book. I can tell you 100% that Think and Grow Rich, Master Key to Riches, Magic of if you actually read it with the intent to learn, it'll change your life. You'll never be the same person again. Josh, if you're looking for the B quadrant mindset, it's in these books. I wasn't a reader. I didn't like reading. I'll tell you that. I don't know if you do or not. I did not like reading, but I pushed myself to read because, again, it's either I choose not to read and stay in the same situation, or I push myself to do something I'm not comfortable with and become financially free. You know, I can read a book if it means I'm going to be financially free, you know, so hopefully that's the same for you. So these are some books that help me out. Here's some audios. I mean, there's so many, but here's just a couple that come to my mind. You know, Vern, you know, Power Visualization, The Why, this last talk by Ali and Maka, TD and Superna, Unseen Controls the Scene. Again, these just kind of expand on some of the topics I talked about. They go into some more details, might give some examples that, you know, relate more to you. And here's a couple of videos. Again, there's so many more, but here's just a few that kind of came to my mind. You know, The Why, Build with Faith, Vern, you know, big needs, big faith equals big motivation, and things like that. So those are some of the books, like I said, some of the material. Is there anything else I really wanted to cover? Not really, you know. So like I said, to wrap up, you know, as I stop sharing my screen, that's what I'd say. I'd say, you know, put some visions up, you know, some action steps you can probably take coming out of tonight. Put some of your visions up, put some of your goals up, you know, right now, right away. Think of what you can, you know, are passionate about. Ask your mentor, maybe some affirmations you can say, you know, because even though, again, these might seem a little bit foreign to you, but again, wealth is foreign to the average person. You know, I didn't know what it was like to be very, very successful. So I had to learn from somebody who was what they did. So ask them, write down some affirmations, put some pictures up. You might think that it's crazy, but if it's going to get you to where you want to go, for me, I'm not too big or too mighty to, do some things like that. And then, like I said, write down some of your goals. I know Britt Go Diamond is coming up for some people here who are shooting for that 4,000 eagle or silver. Write down an affirmation. I will be qualified in March for Britt Go Diamond, whatever your qualification is going to be. And say it to yourself every day. Focus on just a couple of key things, and you can become an expert. If you focus on too much, you won't achieve anything. So to wrap it up, as I pass it back to Lily, the last thing I would say is kind of what I've been reiterating this whole night is live your life knowing that the version of you that has your goals is already there, and act as if you're already there. Think of, okay, what would be the person, like for you, Mercedes, because you're on the screen, what's the qualities of somebody that's already financially free? Let me look at Sonica and Benu and, the other people in your upline, and what is their qualities, and start to work towards that. Don't work towards, I wrote on my Instagram today, if you try to chase your goals, they're going to elude you. But what you want to do is you want to see the person that has your goals and just be that. Because if you become that, your goals will attract to you. But if you try to just chase after, I need this, do this amount of MGs, do this, do that. Yes, you do need to do that. But what's the kind of person you need to be successful? Because if you can be that, you'll be diamond, you'll be financially free. There's no choice. You can't be that and not achieve those goals. So that's what I would leave tonight here. Hopefully that added value to you guys, is just live your life knowing that the version of you that has these goals is already there, and just be that person, and don't let anybody steal your dream, and just keep that hope, and I know this team is going to double and triple in the next couple of months. I know Vishal and Sonica have their vision of being NAGC, and I know for sure I'm going to be a massive part of that, and with that, hopefully I added some value, and I'm going to pass it back over to Lily to wrap it up for you guys.
Thank you, John. I see a lot of applause in the little boxes. That was such a thorough presentation. All of the visuals on the slideshows, and I know you must have put in a lot of time, effort preparing it. Really, thank you. Also, I love that clip, the little audio by C. Barbie. But yeah, wasn't that such a great training, guys? Yeah?
Yes, awesome training, John. Great stuff. So many nuggets.
Yes. Now for some ending announcements. So next Wednesday's board plan speakers are none other than Amit and Anjali Vermani. Wahoo! Yeah, awesome. Anyone else excited? It'll be, I believe it's Christmas week, right?
22nd.
22nd. That's right, the 22nd.
Add 7 to today's date.
That's right. That's why we're the CPA.
CPA for that.
Okay. And then for PACE this weekend, check with your upline. Any other ending announcements, Vishal and Sonica?
Oh, that's about it. Thank you, John, for an awesome board plan.
And thank you,
Great
Lily.
training. Awesome evening.
And thank you, John. Thank you, Lily. And thank you, David,
And
for the
thank
tech
you,
hosting.
Lily. Awesome hosting, Lily.
Yeah, thank you, John. Great training. Great hosting, Lily.
Thanks, John. Excellent training, man.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Sweet
Good
dreams.
night.
Night. Thank you. Wonderful
you.
hosting, Lily.
Say hi to your
Great
boss
plan.
tomorrow for me.
Good night.
I'll be sleeping. Bye. Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.